The biggest concern for any nutrition client switching to a plant-based diet is getting enough protein, which is why today I'm going to show you the best plant-based protein sources so that you can coach any type of nutrition client to great results. If you're a nutrition coach working with clients, something you get asked a lot is, I'd love to eat more plant-based foods, but where do I start? And this is because veganism is gaining a lot of traction and popularity as a new way to eat, especially in athletic populations. Sometimes for health reasons, but other times for ethical reasons, and even for a boost in sports performance. And since the biggest concern for these type of people is always going to be protein intake, I'll explain not only why they make this change, but also give you my top 10 plant-based protein sources. So here's the deal. People make the switch to veganism, which is a diet consisting only of plants without the use of animal products, for various reasons, but mainly a concern for animal welfare, sustainability, or health. And historically, we've thought that veganism is something that only granola eating hippy-dippy types do. But recently, there's been a significant increase in the popularity of veganism in athletic populations. This spike goes against the traditional idea that athleticism and playing sports and building muscle is tied to eating meat. And this way of eating has taken off due to some prominent figures in the athletic world, like Patrick Baboumian, a strongman competitor competing at the world level. He became vegan in 2011 and he claims that this switch boosted his athletic performance. Which is important because you gotta keep in mind there's always gonna be this chicken or egg scenario. Can I say that? Scrap that. There's always gonna be this seed and lentil scenario where we're not sure if the athlete was developed while eating plant-based or if they're doing it now and performing well in spite of their dietary choices. Needless to say, Patrick is a good example of this not hurting. But the better question is, why are some athletes turning to veganism? What are some of the perceived benefits? For example, a plant-based diet has been shown to reduce the risk of cardiovascular events, which may be an important consideration for any endurance athlete or any athlete really concerned about their health. Also, the antioxidant and anti-inflammatory nature of plant-based foods could help decrease recovery time, which is obviously important for athletes. A plant-based diet has also been shown to decrease blood viscosity. This could improve athletic performance by delivering more oxygen to the working muscles. And because of this, there are more athletes making plant-forward choices. Take, for example, professional athletes like Venus Williams and Tom Brady following a vegetarian or vegan diet. They are examples showing that to perform as an elite athlete, you may not need to consume animal meat products. It's just not as necessary as people previously thought. Now, here are the main issues, namely adequate protein and energy intake. Research shows that vegan athletes may consume less protein than athletes that are either omnivores or vegetarians, making the need to eat enough protein and total energy an issue. This mainly stems from new vegans being hyper-fixated on what needs to be removed or avoided in their new diets. When this happens, they may not be paying attention to what also needs to be added back into their diet to avoid a nutritional deficiency. When this is combined with inadequate planning, it may result in not meeting the individual's protein and energy requirements. Which leads me to my next point. Do plant-based athletes require even more protein because of the quality? Plant-based protein sources are considered incomplete because they lack essential amino acids. The amino acid leucine is a particular amino acid that's lacking in many plant-based protein sources. And this amino acid is specifically important because it triggers muscle protein synthesis. With that being said, for someone following a plant-based diet, careful and deliberate planning can ensure they're getting enough protein from varied sources. For example, eating varied sources of legumes, grains, nuts, and seeds can help ensure that enough essential amino acids are being obtained through the diet. Additionally, plant-based proteins are known to have less digestibility than animal-based proteins. Taking all of this into consideration, it has been suggested that vegetarians should focus on consuming even more protein than those that are eating meat. So since the recommended daily allowance for protein for the general population is 0.8 grams per kilogram, vegetarians who are not athletes should be bumped up to 1.0 grams per kilogram, especially if they are consuming dairy and eggs along with other plant-based protein sources. However, the International Society of Sports Nutrition recommends that vegans consume anywhere between 1.4 to 2.0 grams per kilogram of protein to make up for the decreased digestibility of plant-based protein sources. How to make sure vegans are getting enough protein? Vegans can meet their protein needs by making sure that they're eating enough total energy and varying their protein-based sources. Examples of great sources include soy, legumes, nuts, and seeds, and make sure to hang out to the end of the video where I give you my top 10 list. And before we move on to that list, here's something you might find interesting. Some research suggests that tracking protein by calories and not by grams might be more accurate, which is not something I typically do with clients. And this is because the calories that an athlete needs are more closely tied to training volume and intensity rather than body mass. which is an important consideration if you're working with a lot of vegan athletes. Lastly, one more myth before we move on to the list. You may have heard that vegans should mix and match complementary proteins to make sure that they're getting all amino acids. This is a belief that has been debunked. As long as the total amount of protein is adequate, vegans and vegetarians don't need to purposely match complementary proteins at each individual meal. The reason is there are tissues in our body, for example, our gut and our skeletal muscle, and blood that have small pools of free amino acids. And these pools of amino acids can buffer or compensate for a short amount of time if an essential amino acid is missing from a meal. Now, the moment you've been waiting for, are there better plant-based protein sources than others? Let's talk about the top 10 best plant-based protein sources. We've ranked these based on their protein per 100 grams of food and given some insight on pros and cons and ways to prepare each of them. Starting with number 10, which is quinoa. Quinoa has 4.4 grams of protein for every 100 grams. Some pros include it being high in fiber and having all of the essential amino acids, so it's considered complete, and is suitable for those that are gluten-free. Some cons are that it could cause GI symptoms, like gas and bloating when it's introduced in higher amounts in the diet. In terms of preparation, quinoa can be cooked and can be added to many meals as a grain source. Next, we have number 9, which is tofu. Tofu has around 8 grams of protein for every 100 gram serving, and it comes in many different varieties, making it very versatile. It's essentially a blank cooking canvas, as it soaks up any flavor that you pair it with. Tofu is also a very cost-effective source of protein. One glaring con, though, is it's not suitable for anyone with a soy allergy. In terms of preparation, tofu can be eaten raw or cooked in many different ways. In number 8, we have peas, which has 8.34 grams of protein for every 100 grams. Peas are high in fiber and are a very cost-effective source of protein. They're very versatile and can be added to a variety of meals, and they have a low glycemic index, which can be helpful to manage blood glucose. Again, some peas can cause some GI issues, and keep in mind anything at the bottom of the list here you have to eat a lot of to get enough protein. In terms of preparation, you can find peas raw, you can find them dried, you can find them frozen, and you can find them fresh. You can even find peas in supplemental form as pea protein, which can be added to nearly anything. Number 7 on our list, we have chickpeas, clocking in at around 9 grams of protein for every 100 grams of boiled chickpeas. They are also high in fiber and a great source of many micronutrients. They can be added to many different dishes and included in spreads like hummus, and have a relatively low cost. However, keep in mind, compared to their other legume counterparts, they are higher in fat. Chickpeas are available canned or dry, but keep in mind if you are going to cook them, you need to soak them beforehand. And moving up our list, we have number 6, lentils. Lentils have around 9 grams of protein for every 100 gram serving. They are very versatile and cost effective, but keep in mind they are quite bland, so you do need to season them. They can also cause GI symptoms, which is very similar to a lot of plant-based proteins when being introduced into the diet. If you're going to eat them canned, many like to rinse them beforehand to remove any excess salt, and cooking the dried variety takes anywhere between 15 to 20 minutes. At number 5, we have edamame, clocking in at around 12 grams of protein for every 100 gram serving. Edamame is low in fat and high in fiber and very accessible at many grocery stores. They are not suitable for those with a soy allergy, and many athletes might have misconceptions around the soy isoflavones, which may have a weak estrogenic activity, but for many individuals it has no impact on their hormones at all. They can be eaten as a snack or a main vegetable and come frozen with the shell on or off. At number 4, we have tempeh, which has approximately 18 grams of protein for every 100 gram serving, is high in fiber and a source of prebiotics, and is also low in calories, making it a good plant-based protein source for anyone trying to lose weight. It's not suitable for those with a soy allergy and does include a fair amount of prep work to be eaten beforehand. It must be cooked before it's eaten, and many recipes instruct you to actually steam the tempeh before you eat it to kill some of the bacterial cultures. At number 3, we have the good old-fashioned peanut. Peanuts have a remarkable amount of protein, 24 grams for every 100 gram serving. They're a convenient snack to take on the go. They include some anti-inflammatory monounsaturated fat and are also a good source of fiber. They aren't suitable for those with a peanut allergy and are higher in calories coming from fat compared to a lot of their counterparts. They can be enjoyed on their own or blended into a variety of nut butters. Powdered peanut butter is also available and it can be lower in calories. At number 2, we have hemp seeds, which has around 32 grams of protein for every 100 grams, but keep in mind a tablespoon is around 10 grams. Hemp seeds also contain essential fatty acids, are a good alternative for those with a nut allergy, and are a complete protein source. They can cause some GI issues. They're often sprinkled over cereal or yogurt or added to things like smoothies. And at number 1, we have Vital Wheat Gluten. It has a whopping 75 grams of protein for every 100 gram serving, sometimes known as seitan. Satan? Are you sure it's not Satan? It's seitan. Seitan is a great option for those wanting to avoid soy. It has a meaty texture that is low in fat, low in carbohydrates, but also high in B vitamins. It's not suitable for a gluten-free diet. Seitan is an isolated gluten that is found in wheat. It's used as a meat substitute in a variety of dishes. And in many cases, seitan can be treated as pre-cooked meat. As great as all those tips are, if you're really serious about starting a nutrition coaching business, the next thing I'll have you do is check out this video have linked up right here. Now that you know how to manage vegan athletes, learn how to keep them healthy by boosting their immune systems. So make sure to check it out now, and I'll see you in the next video.